I think when we start accepting that failure is part of the learning experience, and it's not a bad thing, it's actually a really good thing because that is how we learn, and that we can handle whatever it comes our way, that is a deep internal self-confidence, work-life balance, and all these things, because I have a family, I have 3 children, I have multiple businesses, I have a husband who's a CEO, so busy life. Here's what I will say to that. You got to learn how to prioritize. One day someone said to me, they said, so how come you're so confident? And I had to kind of reverse engineer and look at what it was in my career as a performer that allowed me the success that I had. And the answer to that is,
hi, I'm Daniel Rosenstein, host of the podcast. Today I have the honor of interviewing Vanessa Raymond. Vanessa, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're welcome, Daniel. It's an honor to be here.
Can you share with the audience a little bit about yourself, like your background, like what is it you do now?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a little bit of an unconventional entrepreneur. I'm from a performance background. I was a musical theater major, and I performed on stages around the world for 20 plus years. I've also, as a dancer, singer, actress, always been very interested in the fitness industry. So I've always been a trainer, a Pilates instructor, yoga, all the things, as well as I also got my degree in beauty technology, which, as an esthetician, cosmetologist. So my evolution was really, I started my first business as I stepped out of college. It was a beauty business. I was performing full-time, and part-time I was serving clients with facials and manicures, pedicure, all those things. But I didn't really think of it as a business back then. Back then, it was just kind of me doing a side gig that was fun for me and something that I was passionate about. And then when I retired from theater in 2008, I decided to start my own fitness business, which again, I didn't think of it as entrepreneurship or necessarily of it as starting a business. Again, I just wanted to help people be healthy, get out of pain and all the good stuff, right? However, about 2 years into that endeavor, I realized that I had no clue what I was doing as far as running a business. I was just kind of flailing around and living hand to mouth, trying to figure out how to make profit, doing what I do. I really didn't even know anything about sales or marketing. And that is when I reached out and I found an organization called Achieve Systems, which is an organization that supports entrepreneurs and business owners. And through working with them, I learned, it's been about 17 or 18 years. I have learned so much about entrepreneurship, being a business owner. In the interim, I have become a coach and mentor myself, working with small business owners and entrepreneurs to help them up level from wherever they are in various ways. I've literally taken my experience in the fitness, the performance, and the beauty industries and transformed it into working with entrepreneurs on their self-image and their self-confidence, which I believe is such a big part of our success. Because if we can show up confidently in our businesses, it bleeds into everything that we do, our social media, our branding, our marketing, our sales, etc. So that's the short story, but that gives you a good overview of where I am now and what I'm doing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. So you've been a performer, a speaker, an educator, entrepreneur. Can you maybe share like one moment that was like pivotal that really shaped who you are today?
Well, there are actually quite a few of those, but let's pick one. So what I would say is, I grew up in a very loving, caring family. I was always very close with my family, and I was somewhat of a people pleaser, really one of those people who would compromise myself in order to give everyone else around me what they need. And I think one of the main pivotal moments in my life, which really affected my personal and my business, was when I sat across from one of my mentors who looked at me and said, Vanessa, you are literally being a doormat to society. You need to stand in your power and stand up for yourself. And I was like, it was like a punch in the stomach, because it was a realization that I didn't actually realize what I was doing, and that I was compromising myself and my standards in order to do what I thought other people needed from me. And I think a lot of us can identify with that. And it's a fundamental mistake. For a lot of us as business owners, I just think of the fact that we want to reach out to everybody and anybody, and we want to be able to give anybody and everybody what they need. And that is really not a way to build a successful business or a successful life, for that matter. It is very important that we know who we are, what we stand for, what our boundaries are. And then once we are really secure in that, we will attract our ideal audience. And I think one of the main things that I took away from that is it's okay not to be everything to everybody. And it's also okay for not everybody to love or even like you. And I think that was a very pivotal moment and a very important lesson for me.
Now, you talked about like the importance of having like self-confidence in your business and in your life. What does self-confidence mean to you today compared to like it was many years ago, like in your 20s?
Yes. So I think when we are younger, we equate self-confidence with more superficial outward appearance. What do we have, the things we have to share, and how the outside world perceives us from the outside, right? But really, for me, after years of working on this and really helping others with this, self-confidence is about understanding, well, number one, whenever we start something new, there's always going to be a lack of confidence in the thing that we are doing that's new, right? That is normal. Confidence is ever shifting. However, when you have a solid self-confidence, it means that you feel secure in the fact that no matter what happens, whether you succeed or fail, it's okay. You're going to be fine on the other end, and you have the tools to move forward from whatever the situation is. So nothing is the end of the world. Failure is a learning experience. We all know about failing forward and how important failure is in our lives. I think when we start accepting that failure is part of the learning experience, and it's not a bad thing, it's actually a really good thing, because that is how we learn, and that we can handle whatever it comes our way, that is a deep internal self-confidence. Whereas when your confidence is just based on how other people perceive you and what you think other people think of you, then that's not a solid internal confidence. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I couldn't agree with you more, because there was a time, I'm a professional marketer for the people in the audience who don't know. And there was a time that I was pitching to a client, and I knew what I was saying, and, like how the marketing strategy I was offering them, and I wanted to sell my marketing services to them. And I didn't get the client to sign up. And I found out later on, because the client thought that I was not even though I knew what I was talking about, and I had the experience, the know-how, the references, but they didn't sign up with me because the way I talked with them didn't come across self-confident to them. They said and they wound up going with somebody else who actually knew less than me, but they were really self-confident in their pitch and their presentation. And that made the difference. And that was a big learning lesson for me too, that you said, it's not just about what you know and stuff, but the way you come across to people. It makes a huge difference.
That is a fantastic point you just made, Daniel. Absolutely. And that is why I say confidence in yourself and in your product or your service is so important, because it's an energy, and it's an energy that other people feel. And, the interesting thing about this and how I even came to do the work that I do now is in the performance industry, I was never an exceptional performer. I was never an exceptional dancer or an exceptional singer or an exceptional actress, but I was always very successful as a performer. And, one day someone said to me, they said, so how come you're so confident? And I had to kind of reverse engineer and look at what it was in my career as a performer that allowed me the success that I had. And the answer to that is that, well, number one, I understood that, if I don't get the gig, it is not necessarily that I'm not good enough, but it is that the director wanted a dark, brown-eyed, dark-skinned person or a green-eyed blonde. And I was a redhead at the time, whatever. It's all subjective. But the bigger thing was that it's the energy that I brought to auditions, that positivity, the attitude, the confidence, and the reliability. I got known in the industry for being someone who works hard, who always shows up on time, who shows up positively with a good attitude. And then people want to work with you, right? Regardless, yes, of course, we all have to study our craft. We all have to be good at what we do. We all have to know our stuff. But in the end, like you said, you knew your stuff, but the lack of confidence kind of makes people step back and go, oh, is he really as good as he says he is? Because he doesn't show up that way, right? And that is a very interesting fact. And that is one of the main reasons I work with entrepreneurs on exactly this, because I always say you are the billboard for your business. People are going to engage in your service or your product, not necessarily because of the service or the product, but because of you, how they resonate with you, how they feel around you, how you make them feel, right? That is going to be, in the end, a big deciding factor in whether they want to work with you or not.
Very well said. Now, as you mentioned, you are like a multiple business owner. What are some like the key lessons you learned growing and managing multiple businesses that you can share with our audience? I mean, does it get really hectic, and do you have to really be on top of organizing yourself and your schedule and working with so many different people?
Right. Time management obviously is a very big thing when you are running multiple businesses. But along with time management comes delegation, which is something that I was not really good at when I started because, we think we're supposed to do everything ourselves. We want to save money and do everything ourselves in the beginning. But I had to learn that doesn't always serve me well. The other thing is, you'll often hear people speak about balance and about work-life balance and all these things, because I have a family, I have 3 children, I have multiple businesses, I have a husband who's a CEO, so busy life. Here's what I will say to that. You got to learn how to prioritize. You have to understand that there's not always going to be a perfect balance between everything. Sometimes you are going to be spending more time in your business than with family, but then you also know that, okay, for 3 weeks, I was working on this conference. I worked 16, 18-hour days. Now I got to slow down and spend some time with my family. Or this business takes priority now because this is a deal that has to happen and this is a proposal I have to write. The other business, so you have to learn to prioritize and know where the money-making activities are happening, because those are the things that you as a business owner need to focus on 80% of the time. And you got to learn to delegate out the rest, right? So I think the biggest pitfall I see for entrepreneurs, and believe me, been there, done that. I'm not excluding myself from this. I'm talking from experience, is that we get really, really busy with the busy tasks. The website's got to get finished and I got to post on social media and But we forget that those aren't the things that are making us money. So as business owners, you want to make a distinction between what are the money-making activities in my business and which are the things that can wait or be delegated out. So yes, I would say my number one tip would be prioritize and figure out what can you delegate out and know which activities are the ones that are bringing in the revenue and the profit, because those are the things you as a business owner need to be focusing on.
Oh, that's some really good advice. Thank you for sharing that. On that note, what do you think are some of the biggest mindset blocks that business owners and entrepreneurs has that's blocking them from being successful?
Well, I will right off the bat say that for me, and I know this isn't true for everybody, but being a creative, I am a creative. I never wanted to sell. I had huge mental blocks against sales. The word sales, as you know, in any industry already got a bad rap. It's really kind of like, oh, I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to be that salesy, whatever. But here's the deal. If you don't market and sell, you can't help others, right? If you're the best kept secret, you can't help others or you can't make the sale. If people don't know you exist, how are they going to find you? How are you going to provide them with your service or product that can make their life or their business better, right? So really, 80% of our time as entrepreneurs or small business owners should be invested in our sales and marketing processes. Now, a lot of that can be automated, absolutely. However, and I know you deal with this on a daily basis, Daniel, this is what you do. I'm not going to pretend to be a marketing expert, but when it comes to sales, I have made it my business to hire a sales coach, to work with someone to get me past those mental misconceptions and blocks around doing sales. And again, this was a pivotal moment in my life when my husband, who I work closely with in the business, we co-own one of our businesses. He looked at me and he said, Vanessa, you have to stop creating and you have to start selling. Because I was creating this program and that program and, this graphic and that thingy. And I love creating, but I wasn't making money because if no one sees you, if you're not visible to the world, all that stuff means nothing, right? So I want you out there who might be resonating with this and thinking, I don't want to sell, right? To firstly understand that selling is serving, right? We can serve in a much bigger way when we are actually selling. And selling does not have to be a dirty word because there are ways to do that. And we all know it's about connection, creating relationships, and those things are fun. And if you have a process and you understand how the sales process works and you have a way of making people understand that you really want the best for them. In other words, inquire about them, ask inquiring questions, learn about what they need before you try and offer them your thing because they might not need your thing, right? So you asked about mental blocks for me. That one came up first because that was my big mental block in the industry. I think the second one I would mention is imposter syndrome. Again, even if we're okay with marketing and selling, if we are not stepping in confidently and really have a clear message, and we can only have a clear message when we really understand who we are, who we're selling to, and why, how are we helping? How are we serving? What problem are we solving? Then if we can get a hold of that, that I think is one of the most fundamental things you can do.
Also, I want to point out, as a professional marketer, that there's a difference between marketing and sales because I was very good at the marketing aspect. I can run Google ads, Facebook ads, and get those leads in to set up an appointment. But then I couldn't close the deal because I lacked those sales skills. And I learned very quickly the importance of sales because, I can run a really great Google ad or Facebook ad and get people interested. But then when it came to actually closing and I also was like you, I was like, I don't want to be that sleazy salesperson, like that used car salesman that's trying to sell you a lemon. But then I realized that my perception of what sales was very limited, and it was based about, on a bad experience with somebody. But it is critical to any business having good sales, because you're not going to be able to thrive if you don't have good sales skills. Because it really is, sales is just a form of communication. And you said you're selling, or you're offering people like either some type of service that's needed, whether you're anything from computers to AI chips to being a plumber or a roofer. That's, all those industries need salespeople to sell their services.
Right. And selling becomes easy when you're really passionate about what you're doing. When people can hear your passion comes with the confidence and all the things. But you made a really good point, Daniel. And here was where, number one, my mindset around selling was convoluted. And as you said, I had limited information about what it is to do sales, right? And bad experiences, etc. But when it came down to it, because I always had the most amazing calls and conversations with people, but it would never lead anywhere. So closing the deal is really what sales is. And what that comes down to is making the offer. You never want to leave someone without a call to action. And it might not be buy this or buy that. It might be at first just sending them another resource or connecting them with someone else. But if you're not offering, they're not buying. So it's all good and well to have a great conversation and talk about the solutions that you can offer and their needs. But at the end of the day, you have to make an offer. You have to say, here's what I can offer you to help you with your problem. This is the solution that I have for you. Are you interested? Right. And I think that for me was the biggest puzzle piece I was missing, because I was too scared to ask. Right. And if you don't ask, you don't get. You have to ask.
Oh, that's a really good point. Thank you for making that. And you mentioned you work with the chief systems. Can you maybe share with us, how do you cultivate such a beautiful community and create these connections with such a large network? How many people are in that community now? Hundreds or thousands?
We have around 5,000, but I would say around 3,000 are active, right? About 3,000, 3,500 active members. And in the big scope of things, people who have online communities will say to me, yeah, but that's not that big. Here's the deal. We are all about personal connection, one-on-one connection. Every single member in our community, I personally have had a conversation with, right? So we're really about serving our entrepreneurs and business owners on a very personal level. Now, it might be virtual, it might be in person, but we have three very distinct ways in which we help or in which we support our entrepreneurs. One would be community and connection. So we do a lot of events. We have virtual events, online. We have in-person events. We hold conferences. We have networking events. We have happy hours. We do leads groups. We have all these things going on. And so, but that is about community and connection, making connections and sending leads and all the things. Facebook, we have a Facebook group that's exclusive to members where people can talk and they can, whatever. So that's connection. Then the second way is through education. So coaching systems. We don't really do one-on-one coaching session deep dives. We have people for that. So we have partners for that. So if anybody in the community need a high ticket offer coach or a business coach or whatever it may be, we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of joint venture partners who do these amazing things and who were vetted for that. But as part of the membership, you get 5 mastermind calls a week. So 1 every day of the week. You get Achieve University, which is a 2-day intensive on business plan development, funnel development, revenue stream development, ROI, all the things, automation, branding, marketing, sales, all the things. And then also our conferences are also part of our education, as well as an online resource center with virtual resources and things. And then the third way is our revenue stream systems. We preach 7+ revenue streams in your business, and we have systems, templates, and blueprints in place for our members to be able to create all kinds of revenue streams, which are inevitably visibility tools and marketing tools as well. For instance, we can help with authoring and publishing a book. We can help with invention of products and bringing it to market. We can do licensing and franchising. We have a speaker division if they want to become a speaker. We have a podcasting division, a TV network that we work with. We have an education division if they want to create certification programs or workshops. So it's very wide and inclusive. I always say it's like an a la carte menu that you can just pick and choose what you need and use it at your own discretion, right? So there's a lot more, but that gives you an overview. It's just everything that an entrepreneur needs to grow and scale.
That sounds really amazing. And you said it's both online and in person.
Yes. So we do a lot of in-person stuff, but we also do a lot of virtual stuff. We have a bit of both going on, and our community now is international. We have some members. We're growing at a really big pace in Canada right now. We literally just had our first conference in Toronto in March. It was a huge success. We have some members in Europe. We have a few members in Africa. So we're definitely spreading our wings and getting out there.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Can you maybe share with us, since you're so successful, do you have any daily habits or rituals that you feel can really contribute to success? Do you meditate every day or do something special?
Absolutely. So, there's a wide array of those. I'll mention a personal, and then I'll mention a business habit. Personally, I have 3 children. So, and I know as a lot of other moms, it can be challenging to find time to meditate my ritual is really every day of the week, I have my workout scheduled. So my workout is part of my daily schedule. There's no compromise. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's 90 minutes, depending on the day and what's going on, but I never miss my workout. Sometimes it's a hectic workout, sometimes it's yoga, Pilates, or sometimes it's foam rolling, right? But I make that time for myself, where that is the time when my mind can go and be creative, and I'm focusing on myself. And it's not always first thing in the morning. Sometimes it will be midday or sometimes later in the day. I have a routine. Most days, my workout is kind of around lunchtime, right? Because that's a good time for me. My body's awake and my mind's awake, and I'm still have energy. On the end of the day, it's hard to get a workout in. But for me, that's number one. The other ones might sound a little weird to some of you here, but my time in front of the mirror in the morning, doing my makeup and my hair, getting ready, to me is like meditation. That's self-time. It's time for self-reflection. It's also time to sit and think about what my day holds. What are the things I have to do today? I'll actually open my calendar while I do my makeup, and I can look at what's coming, so I feel prepared for my day. So those are 2 of the things that I do personally. From a business standpoint, I'm going to give you a big one here. And this is one of the rituals that we teach all our entrepreneurs here at Achieve every day. And of course, we have a system where we teach you how to do it, who to reach out to, what should the messages look like. But basically, it comes down to, we call it the A5 marketing system. And it's a habit that everybody here learns, that every day you make 15 minutes in your calendar to reach out to 5 new leads. And it's a habit every day. 5 leads. If you copy and paste, we help you craft your message. You copy and paste it to 5 people, and think about it. By the end of the first week, you've reached out to 25 people. By the end of a month, you've reached out to 100. And it just compounds. And what that does is you always have top of the funnel filling up with new leads without really spending a lot of time on it. Yes, of course, if they respond to you, you need to book a call or follow up. So that 15 minutes might turn into 30 or 45 because you're doing your follow up from the previous days. But the point is, in 30 minutes a day, you are literally doing lead generation. And if you do that every day of the week, you can imagine we have had members double, triple, 10 times their income just from that one thing.
Wow, that's really amazing. That's you guys definitely know what you're doing over there.
I'm telling you, we've been at it for a while. So, Rob, my husband, my husband's the CEO of Achieve. And so he started the organization back in 1997. So it's been around for a very long time. And therefore, everything that you hear me say, all the resources, all the things have been developed over so many years. And he's really good at keeping things current and with the times, right? Because marketing trends change, sales trends change, the market changes. Right now, as we all know who are in this space, it's a lot harder to sell than it used to be 5 or 6 years ago, right? People are a lot more skeptical. There's a lot less trust in the marketplace. So right now, one of the things we focus on with our entrepreneurs is building trust in the marketplace, because without that trust, people aren't ready to engage and invest.
Thank you. That's really awesome. Before in the conversation, you mentioned about, people having imposter syndrome. So what advice could you give to people who feel that they have imposter syndrome or they feel like they're not good enough? Is there any key things you can relate to them? So this is a good way to overcome imposter syndrome.
Well, they might not like what I have to say, but here's what I'm going to say. You cast that thing out because it's something that you're creating in your own mind, right? Imposter syndrome is not created by other people. It's not created by something that we did. It's us literally overthinking everything, right? And so what you need to do is come back to, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I want to contribute to the world. And no matter what, I'm going to do it. And action is the best medicine for imposter syndrome. Because what happens is when we start worrying about all these things and we're self-conscious and we're not sure what's next or what people are thinking or what are they going to think, we are literally pacifying ourselves. And the best thing you can do is take one step forward. Think of what is the best action I can take to move myself forward in this situation. Sitting back and thinking more about it is not going to help you. So definitely, like I said, it's probably not a very conventional, typical answer, but getting rid of imposter syndrome is a decision. You have to make the decision that you're not going to let this thing hold you back or pull you down. You're going to beat it. And the only way to beat it is to go out there, be present, be there, show up, and take action. That's my advice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point because, I knew about podcasting for many years, and I didn't start my podcast earlier this year because I always thought that, I wouldn't be good enough to do it. And I didn't take any action. And I always thought oh, that's not for me. That's not for me. And then when I actually took action, I was like, oh, I love doing this. This is so much fun.
Yes. And the thing is that it's okay to suck in the beginning. Okay. We're all not great when we start anything, but the only way to get better is to do it. Confidence doesn't come from, that's why, when people ask me what makes me different as a confidence coach or whatever, I'm like, I work from the outside in, because here's the deal. We can only think ourselves into things so much without us engaging our body and actually doing the thing. Confidence comes from doing. It does not come from thinking. So we have to actually just close our eyes and take the leap. Step into that thing. Do it. You know what? So what if you suck a little bit the first time? The second time, you're better. The third time, you're better. The fourth time, you're better. So, repetition is one of the things I talk about a lot. As a dancer, anyone who's good at any kind of sport or playing the piano or an instrument or a speaker, right? The first time you do your speech in front of the mirror, you suck. The first time you kick your leg, it's not as high. The first time you play a scale on the piano, it's not great. We have to repeat and repeat and repeat to become better and to become good. And that is what allows us to be confident in doesn't matter what it is. Repetition, repetition, repetition. One more thing about that. I had a friend who was a virtuoso pianist. And I said to him one day, I said, yeah, practice makes perfect, right? He says, no, perfect practice makes perfect. If you practice it wrong, it's not perfect. All right. So all I'm saying to that, it isn't really about perfection. It's about progress, and know that it's okay to not be perfect in the beginning. You're never going to be perfect. There's no such thing, but progress, 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 repeat, repeat, repeat. And that's what brings confidence. And that's what gets you out there in the world. And that's what brings success.
Now, as you mentioned, like Achieve Systems has thousands of people in the community. So you work with a lot of different people in different industries. You said now it's even international. So you now work not just people all over the country, but all around the world. What do you think are some like the successful attributes that these, the people who are successful have in common? Like they're in different industries all over the place.
Most definitely. So I would say as an entrepreneur and business owner, you have to have accountability and you have to have consistency, right? And you have to be your own leader. As a business owner or entrepreneur, Daniel, no one's telling us from a day to day what to do, how many hours to work. We have to figure it out. But if you don't have discipline, if you don't have a routine or a system in place, you are not going to succeed. So my answer to that is the people who are successful are the ones who are consistently showing up and have grit, have the ability to stick it out. Because the first 2-3 years, hey, listen, it's tough. And when you every time you get to a certain income level, there's a new learning curve. There's always challenges. So you have to be able to overcome challenges. If you don't have the ability to deal with or overcome challenges, you're going to struggle. Consistency and learn that when you start feeling uncomfortable, it's a good thing because it means you're growing, you're expanding. Don't quit. Some of the people that I see now who have really excelled in our community, when they started out, some of them were doing one thing and they're doing a completely different thing now because they kind of had to figure it out, but they didn't quit, right? They kept making the changes where they needed to make the changes. You have to look at what's not working and you have to make change to figure out why it's not working or how can you make it work. And it's an unpredictable journey. And so you have to have grit, you have to have discipline, and you have to be consistent.
So how do you mentor people to grow, not just in their businesses, but make meaningful, personal brands? Like you said, because the times are changing.
Yes. Daniel, well, number one, personal brand is really not that different from brand. Honestly, even if your brand isn't Vanessa Raymond or Daniel Rosenstein, you are still your brand. So it really is important to understand that and to understand that how you show up in your business, the energy you come with is going to bleed into everything that you do. So you want to be clear about one of the first things I say to my entrepreneurs who have a personal brand or want to revamp their brand is, how do you want to make other people feel? Right? There's no wrong answer. exactly here. It can be anything. For instance, I want people to feel empowered when they're in my presence or my brand's presence. I want them to feel confident, and I want them to feel warm and fuzzy. I want them to feel also that I have a valuable service for them. So my brand colors are black, gold, and purple, right? And everything that I do, I infuse, and it's not, your colors aren't your brand, but I know that those colors make people feel empowered. It's professional. So, and it's okay. It doesn't matter what it might be. It doesn't have to be that. It can be that you just want people to feel accepted and, loved. Then maybe all your messaging has to reflect that feeling. Doesn't matter what it is. Like I said, there's no wrong answer here, but think about that. How do you want people to feel when they are in your presence, or when they see your product, or when they see your post on LinkedIn, or when they, run into you at a networking event? Because in the end, people remember you for how you make them feel, right? So that is one of the key questions I ask when I ask people about their brand. Of course, we go into their mission and their vision and their purpose and all things. But in the end, all that is related to how are other people going to feel around you and your brand.
So you talked about wellness and is really important for you in your personal life. How do you integrate wellness practices in coaching and business mentorship?
Yeah, interesting question, Daniel. Personally, my program has some physical aspects to it, because when I work with my entrepreneurs on their confidence, I work with them on posture and body language and facial expressions. And there are a few little I wouldn't say exercise, but a few exercises that help them with these things. Because again, 55% of our communication is body language. Only 7% of what people hear or perceive from us is the words that we speak. 38% is our vocal tone. How are you communicating? But the vocal tone and the body language, which includes your facial expressions, by the way, 9 out of 10 times people already made a first impression before you opened your mouth to speak. So that has a lot to do with how people perceive you, the energy they feel from you, and you can generate that. You have the power by understanding how monumental the way you sit, you stand, you speak, what that has to do with all that. But I always, on the other end of things, along with speaking to my entrepreneurs about their sales and their marketing and their branding and their systems and, all the processes and all the things we have to do in our business, are you taking care of yourself? Are you making time for the hike or the walk or the breathing or the yoga class it is so important for us. We cannot show up as our very best version if we are not also carving out some time for ourselves. And I know the whole self-care thing has become quite the cliche, but it is fundamental that, because if you're overtired, if you're not sleeping properly, if you're physically, you have no energy, if you're not eating healthy, if you're not exercising, then what are you offering others? Right? So, yeah, it really is important. Even if it's 30 minutes a day, an hour a day. I know my husband is a stickler on 90 minutes a day. And actually, he got very ill about a year ago. And he's always worked out. He's always been healthy. But there's a lot of stress in this world with the businesses that we run and everything that we do. And he suddenly realized if he doesn't make a change, so now it's 90 minutes a day. He does not compromise on that at all. 90 minutes, whether it's, he walks, he works out, he makes sure he gets a good lunch, healthy, all the things. We have to make time for that as entrepreneurs and business owners, because otherwise we burn out and we crash.
So what makes the chief, you have the Business Explosion conferences, how's that different than, other events that, some of these other companies put out? Like, what makes it so unique and special?
Our conferences for years now have been very, very popular. And I think I know the reason for that is, well, number one, we always get very highly acclaimed industry leaders to come and speak at our conferences. We're all about education and actionable content, right? We don't just want rah. We want someone who really gives our members actionable content that they can walk away, go use, and see improvement in their businesses. The other thing is that, and this is actually even more popular than our day with speakers, we always have a pre-conference day. Most of our conferences are 2 days. And the pre-conference day is all about connecting and collaborating. So the structure changes a little bit from conference to conference, but here are some of the things that we do. We typically have a speed networking morning. So everyone comes in. We have these big round tables where 10 people sit around a table, and each person at the table gets a chance to stand up and give a 2-minute commercial as you will, of their business. And then they have a minute for questions and answers. And every single person around the table gets to do that. Our members love that. Anyone attending our conferences love that because they get a chance to talk about who they are, as well as learn and get to know other people more intimately and their businesses. So we do that typically in the morning till lunchtime. And then after lunchtime, we typically do one of two things. The first is we might have the afternoon, we'll have open forum networking. We have vendors and partners who have booths. And so it's kind of like a convention style setup, but we have tables in the middle of the room where our leaders can set up one-on-one meetings with the entrepreneurs and business owners who are attending and get to know more about them. And so network, right? We're networking, we're connecting, we're collaborating. The other thing that we do on that day, like this conference that we just had last weekend, we literally just had a conference this last weekend. The afternoon, we had our expert roundtables. So we brought in 12 experts in different areas of business. Each one of them hosted a table. Before it started, we let the whole audience know who's who and what are their expertise. And so people could choose their tables based on what they feel they need most in their businesses. And we got to do 3 rotations during the afternoon. So they're half-an-hour sessions with this expert, and it's basically a mastermind session for 30 minutes with this expert at this table where they give you some tips and tricks and tools, and then there's a Q&A and you can ask questions. So a lot of value.
So I know we've been like dancing around talking about different topics. Can you maybe clearly articulate to our audience, just so it's clear to them, about your offerings? Like, how do you help like business owners and entrepreneurs? Like, what services can you help them with?
Okay. So this is also vast and wide, right? As an organization, Achieve has 23 leaders. Each leader has an expertise. We all have different things that we're good at. Mine is confidence and self-image, and confidence and self-image in sales, and also just in general to grow your business and show up better in your business and have people engage with you so you can make more sales, right? So that's me. But as an organization, when you join our team, when you come into this organization as a member, literally the sky's the limit. I don't want to sound cliche and say we do everything. But again, it's not like one person is doing all this. We have hundreds of partners who specialize in different areas of business building. And so we literally have something or someone for everybody who needs whatever they need. And if we don't have it, we make it our business to create it. This company has been around, like I said, since 1997. The resources, the partners, the revenue stream opportunities, the templates, the blueprints, the systems have been created and generated over all these years. At no point do we want anybody to tap into everything that we have. That is not our intention. Our intention is to look at you, look at your business, analyze what it is you need, and for us to focus on that need and give you what you need. That's kind
Sounds really awesome.
yeah.
I mean, if somebody had a question about our conversation today, or they're interested in joining Achieve Systems, what is the best way they can reach out to you, or just, look into Achieve Systems?
Yes, absolutely. So, you can go to achievesystemspro.com, and there is a tab. Hold on. Let me quickly get you the exact link, because we have a place where you can request to actually have a discovery call and find out more and share with us. So if you go to achievesystemspro.com, right on the top menu, it says book a discovery call. If you click on that, that actually comes straight to my inbox. I get to connect. You could get to connect with me personally, or I can connect you with any of our other experts that maybe might have the expertise that you need. We ask you, what is it you want to find out more about? But 9 out of 10 times you get to speak with me. So I would highly recommend that. Or you can simply email me at vanessa@victoryfactor.com.
Well, Vanessa, can I ask you, what type of legacy do you hope to leave behind, both personally and professionally, with all the work that you do? Have you ever given any thought about what legacy you want to leave behind?
Yes, absolutely. For me personally, and again, not very conventional kind of answer, but as a human, as a coach, a lot of times when you work with a coach, they'll ask you, what is your big goal? Like, what is your big why? Why are you doing what you're doing? And for me, really, honestly, I love life. I love people, and I love helping people. When I see people excel, when I see people benefit from whatever it is I'm sharing with them, that fires me up. That's what gets me excited and gets me wanting to do more. So my answer is really simple. Really, just if I can every day or every week or in every event make a difference to one human, for me, that is ultimately what fires me up and what keeps me moving forward. As far as legacy goes, I believe that what Rob and I have built here is a legacy. We reach so many people with such amazing content and such amazing help. And I am so honored and proud to say that we are very proud of what we've built. And I've seen so many people benefit from it. And really, that is the legacy with Ovid.
That's really wonderful. And definitely from everything, you talk about, you definitely sound very exciting. And the confidence radiates through this conversation.
Thank you, Daniel. I really am. I'm a passionate human. I've always been, I don't think I would have been a performer if I didn't have any passion in me, because we certainly don't do that for money. We do that passion of the craft, right? And for me, it's never really been about money. I just believe that if we honestly find our calling, our passion in life, other people feel that. The ones that need to resonate with that will resonate with that, and they will benefit from it. So living with passion really is important.
So, Vanessa, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our audience before we wrap up our conversation today?
Daniel, I would just say, whatever it is, go for it. Don't let anybody or anything hold you back from what it is you want in life, because you can do it. You just have to take action. So, whenever you're sitting back and you're going, oh, I don't know what's next. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should. You know what? Do it anyway, because what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is it might not work out. So what? Then you try something new. Just do it anyway.
Well, Vanessa, I just want to personally thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing, all about your experiences and sharing your wisdom. I mean, you're such an incredible person. You're so talented and there's so much knowledge, and you're so successful in so many areas. It's really amazing. And I think Achieve Systems is an amazing organization. So it was, my honor to really help promote it and get the word out there so more entrepreneurs and business owners know about it, to help them be more successful. And he said, it's harder than ever to achieve, to be successful, between competition and changes in the marketplace are happening, so that people are more skeptical. It's harder than ever now. So we do need that some support. Chief Systems may be it for a lot of people out there.
I appreciate it, Daniel. And yes, you don't have to do it alone, right? Nobody has ever, you can talk to anybody who's vastly successful. They do not do it alone. So get help, whether it's from a chief or someone else, doesn't matter where. Make sure you're not trying to do it all yourself. Get help, delegate, get experts to support you in your business. And Daniel, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today and to share. I hope that what I shared is helping your audience out there.